Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the WASD and Beyond podcast. My name is Nick. I am your host. Accompanying me is Evan. He's also your host. Um,
I am.
so if you're not in America, it's hard not to say that you wouldn't know what's going on right now in this country, but that's why we have to do this episode. We actually tried recording it right after the events in Buffalo, and that episode failed to record. And actually gave me a sigh of relief after we couldn't release it. I don't know about you.
Uh-huh.
But now that this has happened in Texas, we're going to be doing this episode. I was actually going to pick a different topic this week, but with how serious of a situation it is in Texas and what happened, we're just going to do the episode. But before we start, our condolences to the families of every life lost in Buffalo and in Texas
And in Southern California.
and in Southern California. Enough is enough, right? Like, there's nothing like two video game comedy podcasters like us can really say that not everybody else is already saying and make a difference,
No.
right? But we can't not talk about it either. I know you come here to laugh. If you're listening to the show, you come here to laugh. You come here to hear about video games, but the topic is pertinent to what is going on to a degree.
You might not even come here necessarily. I mean, I'm sure I'm grateful for everybody that comes and listens, as well as I think it's also you're interested in what we think.
Yeah.
Like, what do Nick and Evan think about this game or this topic or that kind of thing, and it was only in America can we not do an episode about something violent because a certain mass shooting happens, only for us to then do it anyway because another mass shooting happens within a week and a half of that first one happening.
Yes.
Which is like, wow, we're really doing a bad job. Like, as a country, we're not doing a good job in any respect.
No, it's terrible.
I've seen a lot on Twitter that's cracked me up. Don't make it a political issue. It is a political issue because the thing that solves it is law and legislation, which is politics. It's kind of the basis of that is you elect people who go to the government and they fight for what you want.
Exactly.
So you elect the people you like because you like their platforms, and they go, and if they're good politicians, they follow that and they say, yeah, this is what I'm going to do. And good is subjective, right? Good for some people is fighting for this certain thing, or good for some other people is fighting for this certain thing, and those might be on opposing sides. But one thing that should not have an opposing side is having this hatred for kids getting gunned down. Like, you should hate that happens, and if you don't hate that or people of color or anybody, it doesn't make a difference who it is. It's like, you shouldn't like that somebody, you shouldn't have any sympathy for someone who walks in to an elementary school and just starts gunning kids down. And if you do have sympathy, or if you do not have hatred in your heart for someone who does something like that, I recommend that you look at yourself very seriously in the mirror next time.
Right.
Because you shouldn't like anything that happens regardless of what political side you're on. I don't care if you're red or not red. Sorry, I meant right, left. I thought of red because Republicans have the red color.
Donkey
but like right, right, left. It doesn't matter. Like, you should hate it. Period. There shouldn't be any other question about it.
Right.
And if you are left and you hate that the right hasn't done anything, you should also hate the fact that the people you support haven't done anything.
Exactly. Well,
they haven't.
You know,
it's not. It's a political issue in the fact that everybody who is involved in politics hasn't done anything about it, other than give us thoughts and prayers. There are some who have created bills and legislature to go through to become law. Like, I can't remember. It was, who's the coach for the Warriors? He was Steve Kerr.
Okay.
You were telling me about him.
Yeah. He called out like Mitch McConnell and the other 50 senators.
The NBA coach, he said it was HR something or other. He said the specific number. I can't remember it for the life of me. But
I'm
he's
sure
like,
Jeff
it's
would know
been
it.
there. Yeah, it's been there for years, like 3 or 4 years, and they just haven't done anything about it. So
it's tough. It's really
this is
tough.
weird. This is weird to say, but I'm just gonna say, I know we're a video game podcast. We're gonna talk about video games, or like, you know,
we're getting
how that
right
relates
into the
to what this is.
Shortly.
But if you don't like what happened and you want something to be done about it, going on Twitter does not necessarily do anything. It actually does nothing, because it doesn't matter what your congressman, congresswoman, or senator reads. Call them, you know, send them, you know, say, I'm not voting for you. Like, you need to do something about this, or you can say, you can kiss your ass goodbye. Like, you're out
Protests
the door.
Again.
Like,
if that's what it takes, protest again.
Peaceful protests are always good. And then it's more of, you can bitch about them all you want on Twitter, and that's absolutely what you should do if you're really upset. But realistically, call the office and say, hey, you don't get this shit passed, you have no job.
Right, exactly.
You know, I'm not voting for you. And eventually there's going to be enough people who go, yeah, I'm not going to vote for them either.
Right.
And that's as simple as it gets. And to anybody who, you know, says like, I'm tired of hearing like the left coming up with solutions and the right going, those aren't good solutions, and then not providing their own.
Right. And let us be clear on this podcast right now. We do not care what side of the aisle you're on.
I couldn't give a shit.
Left, middle. If you're a sensible human, if you're a good person, you're cool with us. If you don't fall into those two categories, if you have a mind of your own, and if you're a good person, we don't fuck with you. But it's a lot going on. We will get into how this all ties to today's topic. And again, after last week's episode failed to upload because of issues, I felt relief, right? Because I was like, this is a heavy topic.
Didn't have it.
It's a heavy topic.
This is a heavy episode.
Reasons.
We should do that. We should do we're not re-recording, but we should add a recording after this that we put at the beginning, which is like Twitter. Did you? Yeah. Okay. Oh, I did see that tweet. Okay. Yeah. Cool. Just wanted to. Yeah,
if you want to listen to something lighthearted, Wednesday's episode was for you. Today's episode is going to be it's going to be a very heavy conversation.
Because there
will be jokes after we are done discussing this, because we are going to get into some other things, but
there's no real jokes for things like this.
No, but like when I'm getting, because I talked to Eric and Doc,
who live in the UK.
Eric is in Wales, Doc is in the UK, and one of the messages I got from Doc was, again, like, mate, again. I was like,
it's par for the course here.
Here's the thing. I didn't know when he texted me that it had happened. I was like, what are you talking about? And as soon as I opened up Twitter, boom. At first it was 14, then it was 19.
Yeah, like, that's pretty funny, because I told you, I woke up this morning and I saw something scroll across my newsfeed, and that pissed me off, because it was a conversation about, well, let's arm our teachers, because it's like, that's a great idea. Just put more guns in there.
Well, I said it's getting kids used to the prison system. That's what it looks like.
Well, it's like
one door, a fence around the school, and everyone's guarded with weapons. Like, you're getting kids ready for prison. It's like, OBO. Here. Are we doing OBO right now?
I mean, we could. This is a half OBO episode at this point. But like, straight up, here's the thing: is I don't understand, and this is coming from a 22-year-old kid who has just a basic idea of how this shit somewhat works, and even then, it still doesn't really make sense. And I don't think it makes sense to a lot of people.
No,
but
most likely not.
We have all these things of like, we need to come up for solutions, and it's like, we have a whole other world. We have across the pond. You have like 57 countries I can't. That's just a spitballing number. But like, you have all these other countries in the world that we communicate with daily who are like, man, that shit sucks, huh? And it's like, how many school shootings have you had this year? They're like 3, 2,
I don't think
none,
none.
0.
Yeah, 0. Because they're
It's like,
people.
yeah, it's like, yeah, and like, how many mass shootings have you guys had? Oh, probably like 15. And it's like, how many have you guys had? 212. How many days have been in the year? Like 160. We've had more. I told you that earlier. We've had more mass shootings than days this year alone.
Yeah.
And my friend, a good friend of mine, Will. I was bitching about it, and he said school shooting. He didn't know it had happened.
Yeah.
Because he lives here. He lives in Fort Wayne. And he just didn't know because he doesn't pay attention to the news. And I'm like, yeah, 19 kids, like 3 or 4 adults, just gunned down.
Dude's
because
grandmother
of this
lived.
and this. Oh, really?
She lived.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
So that's one life saved, I suppose, right now, right? So,
I guess.
we're gonna be moving on soon, but we just gotta get this off our chest, right? Like, this sucks.
It's frustrating.
It's hard to be the haha guys when we are in the country. We were not in Texas, right? But like, we are in the country where it's every other day or week.
It was in Michigan just a couple months ago.
It was in Michigan a couple months ago. Then today, a kid got arrested because he said he was going to go do it in Michigan. In my grandmother's city. So
after that school shooting happened in Oxford and in here in Michigan, there was my brother's school was called off for like the rest of the week because some kid was like, yeah, I'm gonna do it here. And it's like, if you have a younger sibling or you have kids, it's like, dude, just fucking homeschool them at this point because it's not worth the risk.
I passively aggressively told Perry yesterday. I was like, I'm really hoping that we can just, like, by the time he's ready to go, there's like a VR headset they could just plop on him. He could sit in the living room all day and go to virtual school. Virtual fucking it's like recess and all that. Because it freaks me the fuck out. I went home yesterday, I hugged my son as hard as I could. I was like, dude, Jesus Christ.
And he's only 2.
He's 2.
He doesn't even know.
No.
He has no clue of what you're even upset about. And it's like,
think about Brody.
Like, I'm upset. Right. Well, I'm upset as shit because it's just like, I don't have kids of my own as far as I know. But I have
you're such a stupid asshole.
I have a younger brother and a younger sister. My brother's 17. My sister is 16. Had to think about that.
She pisses you off,
but
though.
She every day. Every day. But like, no, my sister's homeschooled. She's on her laptop. And she did that more just because she didn't like school in general. But like, my brother goes, and it's at this point where it's just like, dude, you only have a year left. Just homeschool yours. It's not worth the fucking risk. It's not.
Jack.
Because it's not your fault. There's nothing you can do if somebody does this. And that's what pisses me off, is that it's all about teaching them. It's all about, like, when I was in school, they had a drill where they just said, okay, sometime this week during Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, during your passing time, which is 5 minutes, it's just going to be a random alarm, and you're just going to have to get into whatever classroom you can get into.
Really?
And it's like, so all this week I'm going, when's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? And then it happens, and I just duck into a classroom. Thankfully, it was my classroom where I had to be next anyway, so it was fine. Other kids, it was just about you wouldn't have been late if it happened. You had to get into I know you were joking, but like, it was like, that was the point. And it's like, ridiculous. It's like, you're teaching us we have to duck into a classroom as soon as possible, or we're gonna do a suspicious person drill, like somebody walking around the school that they don't know.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, okay, so what is that? And it's like, oh, well, we all get into a corner of the room where he can't see us, and I just stand by the door of the teacher, and we like block it. I'm like, okay, what is this suspicious person doing? Like, do they have their shirt off? Are they walking a weird looking dog? Like, no, you're teaching
Chinese ones.
Yeah.
You don't know what I'm talking about? Look up ugly Chinese dog. Look up ugly Chinese dog.
Okay. But anyway, like, it was just like, that's what, I don't know if you had those because you're like 20 years older than I am.
No, we had
no joke there, no laugh.
Yeah, fuck you. In middle school, before I got expelled, from school, which if you listen to OBO, you know why I got expelled. I'm not getting into it. We had drills like that, but it wasn't taken as like serious as like what yours was.
They were like, yeah, you need to do this or else you're in trouble. Like you would get detention if you didn't, like if you acted out.
During those drills, I would walk to the fucking field and go smoke a cigarette.
Like, yeah, they wouldn't have let. No, like you couldn't unless there were. I mean, I never did that just because I didn't smoke cigarettes.
You weren't a piece of shit kid.
Sure, you can say that. That's your decision. But like, yeah, like this shit is serious, and it's frankly just. I'm not even a fucking parent, and it pisses me off because it's like, dude, why are we teaching them to be afraid?
This shit should piss you off though. So I was reading. There was this person on Twitter who was a teacher, and she was like, here's one of the things that they don't tell you we have to learn. Say they're doing that drill, right? Or say it actually happens. If there is a child left outside in the hallway, they're not allowed to open the door to let the child in. Did you know that? They're trained not to let the child in.
No. I know that. Yeah, because that's what happened when we did it. If there was a kid outside and they were like, yeah, I'm late, they'd be like, sorry. And it's like, so you're teaching us to like hide from this suspicious person, which we could just change that. We just take suspicious and person out and replace those with active shooter because that's what you're trying to teach us. And it's like, what you're trying to just like you the teacher, you teach this kid every day. You've learned their name. You know who they are. You know how they act in class, and you have to look at them through a little small piece of glass and go, "Can't let you in, little buddy." While there's a guy walking around with an AR-15 trying to murder you. Are you kidding me? You think a teacher's gonna listen?
At that point, I look up and I go, catching these hands once I get in this room, buddy.
Oh yeah, like when I get in there, there's gonna be words.
Evan and I, we know better. Yeah,
there's gonna be problems.
There's gonna be problems. That's the reality. But like, I have some older.
That is the reality.
I have some older buddies of mine who they were in like there's older people I know, but they're like as soon as Columbine happened, it was before Columbine and after Columbine.
Yeah,
that's like how high school and like middle school and school just split up. Because I was like 8 when Columbine happened. So it got serious, but then it like tapered off, right? And now it's crazy. But like Columbine's a good jumping off point for I'm not gonna do the sponsors yet. We're gonna say that for the end of the episode when we're kind of laughing.
Yeah.
Columbine is a good jumping off point for this episode. Originally when we recorded this episode, we had John on the show. Great friend of the show, great guest. Just a good friend of ours. Talk about mental illness. And unfortunately, that's not going to happen this week. But what we can say is we can bring some of his comments to light.
Yeah.
Because I remember what he said pretty vividly. So, but let's start with Columbine. So Columbine happens. Eric and Dylan do what they do. And immediately the media, instead of looking inwards, they deflect. They deflect with violence in movies, rock and roll, metal, Marilyn Manson, which I don't even want to talk about him. I have way too many of his shirts, man. I can't not wear them.
They and then they find out. I don't know if the media found out because I was not alive.
Doom.
I was not around at all in any capacity whatsoever. Yes, they found that they played video games, Doom specifically, which of course, if you're a 45-year-old in the 90s and you have no idea what video games are and you see Doom, you're going to go, that's probably not a very healthy game for children.
Right.
And it's like, okay, well, what are you doing it? You run around and you shoot demons. You know, you kill them. Oh, that sounds very violent.
That's every churchgoer's wet dream.
I mean, yeah. Why is that? Like, really? The church is upset about this? Like, we're doing what you wish you could do.
Yeah, you want us to kill demons, don't you?
Like, we're having fun. Like, we got this cool metal soundtrack that you hate because it's metal, but we're also doing your work.
It is a good soundtrack.
You know, because you won't play it because you're lazy pieces of shit. But you know,
so immediately though,
they blame it on games. They blame it on They blame it on entertainment.
Media, yeah. So, but just video games get the harshest. They get the harshest.
They do.
Because you, in a movie, you watch what happens. You leave the theater and it's done. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a joke. Dave Chappelle, I believe, said it. Somebody said it where he saw like a kung fu flick.
You almost had a Trump moment there.
I did, but I was trying to say kung fu flick, and it like, but like,
yeah, your brain, yeah.
And he was like, as soon as I saw that movie, I was walking out feeling like Bruce Lee, ready to kick everyone.
I don't actually know this joke, but yeah, I understand what you're going with.
Yeah,
right.
So like, movies can make you feel like when I watch like an action movie, I'm like, dude, I just want to go climb a mountain now, right? Like Uncharted, well, like I want to do what Nathan Drake just did. I feel like, okay, I could try, but like I'm not gonna go do it.
If I watch Goodfellas, I start talking like Robert De Niro, like or Joe Pesci.
You and I binged The Sopranos, and we were like, we were in the bar.
It was
we were in the bar.
It was
drunk.
Every day. We were like
in Gus.
Yeah, it was every day we did like the finger Pauly thing, or we did like a Chris A, like we just turned into those characters from it. But that's because that's good entertainment. Like you get like when I would walk out of a Marvel movie as a teenager, or like the Avengers, I'd be like, oh my god, that felt so fucking cool.
Right.
Like I feel like I can do anything right now because like that's how it made me feel, right? But there's an inverse to that, and that if you play a dark, violent video game, and I'm only going to use this once, but like when I played The Last of Us, I was by myself in Grand Rapids, and I did not sit there and go, I'm just going to beat the shit out of the next person I see in the hallway.
No,
like I didn't think that.
You and I cried.
It was sad. It was emotional, and it as angry as it was in terms of how angry it made me. Like
my hair
in terms
is ridiculous.
of like
I'm so sorry.
You're good. It's all frizzy.
Yeah, I know.
But like in the process of that, it's like you don't. If you're a rational, healthy person, you can get excited and upset and angry and sad when sad, happy, angry, good, bad things happen in movies, TV, video games, whatever. You can understand that. The problem, and this is very rare, I'd argue, is that most people don't play games like Call of Duty, GTA, Doom, Quake, Wolfenstein. Although Wolfenstein, realistically, if you play Wolfenstein and you go, man, I want to kill Nazis, fully support that. Do that every day.
Go punch your local Nazi in the face, dude. Whatever.
Yeah, Nazis are not good. We hate those.
WASD endorsed right there.
Yeah, we do not like Nazis. Nobody should like Nazis. If you like Nazis, we don't like you.
Catch the misdemeanor. Just punch them once. Don't stab them. Just get the misdemeanor. Don't get the felony.
Yeah, just like right in the chin. Like right in the jaw.
No, you gotta be careful. That's like the reset area. You just a good one to the chest.
No, because chest, they might have a lot of upper body, so you don't really want to do that because you might be hitting like a brick wall.
Just give them the finger.
No, give them the reset button. Maybe they change.
Knock them out. Maybe they change.
Maybe they've reset. But like that's the most people don't. Most people don't play violent video games, or even slightly violent video games. Like GTA, I'd say is violent, but it's more of like this. It's this free roam kind of violence, right? Yeah, you can, and not even a sim realistically, but like I see what you're going with that, is that it simulates a city, and sure, like there's pedestrians and there's cops and there's all sorts of characters, and you can just, if you want in GTA, you can just get in a car and just roll down the sidewalk and just roll people over.
You can also stop at stoplights though.
You can also stop at the stoplights. You can also instead of running everywhere, you can walk down the streets. I didn't know that when I was a kid. I was like, I had to run everywhere. I had to get to the mission as fast as possible, even if it was just a free roam section.
Right.
But like, same with Doom. Doom is you kill demons. Wolfenstein, you kill Nazis. Quake, you kill things. I haven't played Quake.
Fantasy,
in a long time.
there's a lot.
But you play COD. You kill just the enemies on the other team, or you play single player and you just kill whoever you're told to kill. Like it doesn't matter. But most people, I'd argue a lot of people that play video games, especially violent ones, don't go, I should see how that works in real life. And this is coming from somebody who likes to get for multiple video games, like Insurgency. Insurgency is violent. And I'd argue more violent than some games, because in Insurgency, you're shooting other people, and if you don't shoot them directly in the head, they roll around. They scream
badly.
They
it's
squirm.
Gross. Yeah.
And then as soon as you shoot them in the head, it stops like a light. But that to me as a person has always been like, that's really, really impressive that they program that in, and that's the way that this works. It's never gone like, does that really work in real life? I should go test that. Like, never in my life thought that. And I argue most people don't, because they're rational and healthy. And that's the difference about, I think that the point we're trying to make here is that video games don't cause violence any more than movies do. or music does.
With video games, at least for me, and I know there has been studies like they've used video games for vets. They've used like Army, Marine, Navy vet, not like veterinarians, but like they've used they've used video games almost as a tool to be like an unwinding, de-stress thing. And like for me,
it is a de-stressor.
Exactly. So if I come home from a fucked up day at work, and
even if it's a shooter game, you're de-stressing.
Exactly.
But you're not de-stressing because if you were still stressed, you'd go and shoot people. It's just you're decompressing. The same way that
decompressing in the game. Like I said, like if I come home all fucked up from work, my wife's already in bed. My son, I just put him down. And it's like I don't necessarily want to watch a show. I want to get in front of my computer and just like go into this world where I'm free and I can do my shit. And
you want to engage your brain.
But like when I step away from my computer, my console, whatever, my handheld, immediately I'm like, okay, that was cool. I mean, obviously I'm thinking about the game, but like I'm not going, my neighbor, gotta go fucking stab him a couple times.
Yeah, just to see what it's like. No,
and I do have mental illness. My little brother has mental illness. And all he does normally is play GTA RP, Counter-Strike, Valorant, all of these games, and there's not one thought in his head going, as soon as I put this down, I'm gonna go shoot up a school.
No, he's never. I've never even gotten, and I went to school with him.
Yeah,
and I never had this vibe of like, I don't trust him. The people. Maybe that's a weird thing. The people that I thought would do that were not people that played video games. It was people that were mentally ill, and you could tell. Or like they didn't have clean clothes. They had been wearing the same, stuff for like the past 2 months of school, which is just as bad, right? It's like I'm not cool with those things. Absolutely not. I feel bad for those people. But at the same time, like I went to school with your brother and I never got this vibe of like, I don't trust to be in a room with him,
All right.
I've never thought that. There was a chick in a classroom that had a rat in her sweatshirt.
I hate that.
Like Rat Catcher from the Suicide Squad. Like just had it. I was like, what is going on? And she would say pretty fucked up things. And it's like that was what worried me. And I don't know if she played video games at all. It had nothing to do, and it wouldn't have anything. Even if it was like she said fucked up things, and then she was like, "Yeah, I play Counter-Strike." I still wouldn't be like, "She's normal." I'd be like, "No," because I play Counter-Strike, and I don't say shit like that.
Right.
Like, I don't. I've never thought of anything like this, and I guarantee if you ask most gamers, especially if it's in an online context like on Reddit or anywhere else, they're gonna give you a whole load of shit. They're gonna be sarcastic with you like all the time, bro. It's like no, they really don't. They're pulling your chain because they're like, what kind of stupid fucking question is that?
Right.
What kind of stupid question is it to go, hey, you play Counter-Strike. You ever thought about buying an AK-47 and going into an elementary school and just blasting? No, never.
Well, because I have the spin wheel I can choose.
Like what are you fucking? Yeah, they're gonna come up with some dumb bullshit. Well, what skin is on the AK?
Yeah.
Like they're gonna give you some crack of shit because they're like, that's the dumbest question I've heard.
It's a tired argument. It's a tired argument. And
it's a wasted argument.
It is.
It's just it's pulling away from the real issue.
But it didn't stop exactly. But it didn't stop at Doom. It then went on to Wolfenstein. It then went on to Quake. It trickled on to GTA. And then also Manhunt, which ironically, I chose this shirt tonight. But
that's pretty funny.
It is. But all these games, which are all usually about choices in these games, or you have to do this to survive. It's not a lot of places like it glorifies murder, it glorifies prostitution, it glorifies gore and drugs. No, these games like GTA, arguably, GTA 4 shows how hard it is to fucking be an immigrant coming to America with nothing.
I think we've lost the idea of what the term glorify means. It's like glorifies drugs. Okay. This is a weird take on it, but would anybody say that about the show The Wire? No, because you get to watch heroin addicts use heroin in slums and barely be able to speak. And one of the characters literally just walks around with a shopping cart picking up metal to sell just to make enough money to buy his next round.
Right.
It's like, that's not glorifying anything. Nobody's sitting there watching it going, man, that looks like a great life. No. And the same thing with GTA, right? Like, yeah, GTA 4, right? You start out literally stepping off a boat.
Yeah.
And then it's your cousin in the game is like, yes, I have a big mansion and all this other stuff, and you find he's got a shithole apartment. He's running a barely functioning taxi service, and the way that this immigrant you play makes it, Nico, is doing illegal activities.
Yeah.
Because anytime he's thinking about getting a legitimate job, the people he's with are like, you're not going to make any money that way. What, you're going to work at a supermarket?
Right.
No. Because it's like, because the basis and I think the idea of that is that life is too short to work in a supermarket and just slowly build your way up. By the time you get to the money you could have in a couple of weeks working with us, you're going to be 30, 40, 50 years old. You're not going to have that kind of money, right? That's the lesson.
Exactly.
Is that this is how fucked up it is that it's almost crime pays better if you're stepping off the boat or if you just don't have those kind of connections. And like, that's a theme that GTA teaches. It doesn't say, yeah, I mean, you can steal a car and run over a grandma on the street, so you should go do it. It's not teaching that at all. It's like, no, it's just what you can do. It just gives you the option. You said that about Postal. Postal 2 is like, your goal is to get a gallon of milk. Right?
Your Postal dude wakes up with a checklist from his shithead wife, and it's like, go to the store, get a gallon of milk, basically, is the open. I'd have to replay it, but like, that's basically how it starts.
I've never played it before, and I own it. I'm gonna download it.
You have Postal 2?
Apparently.
Oh, you should play it.
Don't remember buying it, but yeah.
It's history, bro. That's a very deep-rooted part of gaming history. But it's as violent as you make it. That was one of the quote-unquote banned games. Postal, Manhunt, Agony, Hatred. But
Agony was one. Hatred was one, yes.
Postal is as violent as you make Postal. And yes, of course, it does get to a point where it's like, okay, I'm just going to do whatever I want. You could put people into a pit and burn them with pour gasoline on them.
Gasoline.
Throw a match on them, they die. And then you piss them out because you can pee on people in the game. And it's insane. But like, it's just a game. It is just a fucking game. And I'm not saying that like everybody who picks up these types of games, Manhunt, Postal, Agony, Hatred, GTA, Doom, etc., is going to not take something away from these. There are people out there who will, but that's far and few between. It's far and few between the people who are gonna fucking actually go out and act on these fucking video games and this and that. After Buffalo, Fox News took it upon themselves to bring it up. Video games.
Naturally.
No, this was a sick individual who had fucking hate in his fucking heart and took it out on people because he's a piece of shit scumbag.
Yep.
That's all it was. Some dickhead kid. So it's deflecting at that point. Like video games. Yeah.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. If you want to continue, go ahead.
I was going to bring up our discussion about the developers.
I was just about to bring that up too.
So
I was just about to say, what do you think they think? Or how do they feel?
How do you go on the news on these? It's not just Fox. A lot of it is just like it is though. But you go on you watch the news as a developer. You're flipping the channels and you see video games cause of violence, and you see your game that you worked on, a part of the game that you worked on in the news, i.e., the torture scene with Trevor. You see that,
or you're a content creator and you see your content being used, like the one YouTuber I told you about, where his like content that they pulled, they didn't ask for. They just took some clips from his video that was uploaded most recently to when they were recording or like doing that show, and it was him playing GTA like 3 or 4 and just glitching into a wall, not being able to get out. And they just use that as background footage to be like, look at how violent it is. It's like, if you're a gamer and you know what GTA is, you're like, that's not violent. Like, it's just a bug with the game. Right. So it's like, it's that's not to say that like what they're talking about is absurd. It is absurd, but to go to the length of, you don't even pay attention to what you're pulling to make your argument. You're just pulling content just to be like, this is GTA. And it's like, most people are going to go like, it's a car going halfway through a wall. What are you talking about? Like, and yeah, like if you're a developer and you worked on the torture scene, or you're the guy who played Trevor, I can't think of his name off the top of my head. He's in Better Call Saul.
Yeah.
But like you're that guy and you're you did this scene and it's fucked up, but you're doing it because it shows more of who Trevor is and who you're working for, which ironically is the government when you're doing that mission.
Yeah.
You're working for like the CIA or like, they're not the CIA, you know what I mean? But like, that's kind of the point is like, as a developer or the actor, you're completely missing the point and you're only using it to fulfill the agenda that like the people who pay for your show want.
Right. Exactly.
Which is at the end of the day, that's all it is. That's all anybody is. Or like in terms of the news, that's all you're only saying the shit because you're getting paid for it. Like most politicians, they're saying what they say because they get paid for it. I think a lot of politicians probably think it's reprehensible what's happened in all these schools and churches and grocery stores and anywhere where this happens. But you know what? They can't because the NRA is giving them that sweet, sweet cash. And to anyone who thinks that that's not how that works, please enlighten me if you don't.
It is exactly how that works. So
I'm trying to start a fight on Twitter. Somebody attack me.
Oh, we're gonna be called soy boys and shit. I mean, but like that's this episode, man. Like we're not like done.
Oh
but, like,
no, I called a soy boy. How dare? How will I live?
Oh my god. But like, yeah, man. Like this episode, I said was gonna be a bit heavy. It wasn't gonna be our longest episode by far. But like, just calling out the deflection of by saying it's these games, it's gamers, it's this, it's that. It's us. It's putting such a negative connotation on, and we're not being victims by this. We just want to bring light to what's happening. Like this is disgusting acts of terror on groups of people, on people of color, on children, on anybody, and for these media outlets to say, well, what about gamers? What about video games? What about movies, music? It's you're now casting this spotlight. TV. You're casting a spotlight. Oh, you're good. You're casting a spotlight on these social groups, gamers, avid horror movie watchers, things
people who listen to death metal, people
like
who
black metal,
people who watch people who watch like particularly more violent / dramatic shows, Peaky Blinders as an example, Walking Dead,
Sopranos.
Right? Like
yeah,
The Sopranos. Yeah, Sopranos is extremely violent. Like, I mean, he's got fingernails like a woman. It's the one I thought of when you said that.
Oh my god! But I mean, like that's the problem. They cast this light on people who are part of these like subcultures. There you go, subcultures, because gamers are a subculture.
Or cliques.
Or cliques.
You could use that. Yeah, that term it also applies.
And it's wrong because these people do not represent these groups of people. These people are fucking fringe maniacs acting on their own accord. And that's, in the 40 minutes we've been recording, that's what I've wanted to get to. You have people like Jack Thompson, Fox News, local news channels just really going in and deflecting onto groups they have known nothing about. Gamers, specifically gamers, is what I'm going to focus on is esports has raised money for charities, streamers, charities, playing violent video games, mind you, Escape from Tarkov, Doom, Halo, whatever.
Look at Pestily. He raises like $1 million for sick kids. He's playing a game where you are in Russia just shooting people that you see.
Yeah.
Like, but he's raising money for sick kids. Like,
yeah,
gamers as a whole are probably, I was going to say something, I'm going to kind of take it back, but I'd say most gamers.
There you go. Thank you.
Are typically pretty nice, caring individuals. Like, do we talk shit in game? Absolutely.
There's racists in video games. There is.
Oh, absolutely. And I would argue that a lot of people that say racial slurs, or like any sort of slur towards any group of people, they really don't probably mean that shit. They're just saying it because it's like they know that's going to get a rise instead of me calling you an asshole. Yeah, like an asshole is gonna that's not going to do anything, but saying something like the N-word, that's going to get your attention. And that's the problem. Is it's like that shouldn't be your goal. Like. I was saying earlier, I played Valorant today, and I was dealing with a guy who called me the F word, the slur, derogatory slur for gay people, and he had like his girlfriend in there who kept like just moaning into the microphone, and they did nothing for the first like 5 or 6 rounds of a Valorant game, and then we won the game because they actually started playing, and I just said at the end, I was like, "You're both assholes," like. I reported them both for being AFK and for being toxic in chat, and I was like, and that's all you should do. Like, that's all you can do. You gotta hope that the system works at that point. And if it doesn't, then that's our job as gamers to say, hey, this doesn't work. It's not really being effective because guess what? I reported this guy 3 times and I played with him 4 times in the past couple
he's
days.
A piece of shit. Yeah.
Right. Like that hasn't worked. And it's the same thing for something like this. When something like this in this country happens, it's our job to say, hey, we don't want that anymore. And we do. And what happens? Nothing. And that shows that the way that you fix that is you vote those people out of power. That's all you do.
Good way to end the episode.
That's all you do. And it's not a hard process. I mean, granted, it's hard if you're not if you're not participating, which is fine because it's understandable. I don't participate in a lot of shit either. I'm trying to be better about that and like participate in local things and like raise money and all that kind of stuff. That's hard to do that and to fight for something that you believe in like that when you're not going to get necessarily paid for it, or when you're doing it for a belief or something that you truly want to happen. That's hard to do. If you don't do any of that stuff, which again that's not shaming. I'm not shaming anybody who doesn't do those things. Perfectly fine. I understand it. We all have our own lives and we're busy. But going into a voting booth, vote for the people where you want to see. If you go into a voting booth and you have to decide between 2 people, somebody who wants, just put it to, not even to make it a thing of like, well, we need gun control. We don't need gun control. Here, go to the ballot and say, and look at it this way. You go to a ballot, there's 2 people on the in the voting booth, and you see one of them has given thoughts and prayers for every sort of mass shooting, and then you see a second one that says has introduced a bill to introduce this, and this, whether it's not extremely strict gun control, or maybe it's just a different way of doing gun control that doesn't necessarily infringe on just normal people's rights. Who are you going to vote for?
Right. Exactly.
You're really going to vote for the guy that's only given the person who's only given, my thoughts and prayers and my condolences go out to the families, he says that every couple weeks because that's how often it happens now.
Right.
Or are you going to vote for somebody who has introduced a bill or something to say, hey, I'm tired of seeing this shit?
Somebody wants to change.
Like Steve Kerr said, he got mad. He slammed his hand on the desk and he was like, I'm tired of having moments of silence.
Damn near ready to cry.
Oh, yeah. He was like, we're going to go out. We're going to play basketball, but that's all I have to fucking say.
He stood up and left.
Yeah, and I don't blame him for it because he's tired. It happened 80 miles from the fucking stadium. He said, or 400, no, sorry, not 80, 400 miles. He goes 400 miles away. 19 kids are dead. And I'm sitting here talking to you assholes
about basketball.
Yeah. And he's like, where's the humanity in that? Where's we are only as good as we choose to be.
Right.
And if we just sit here and just go, yeah, it sucks. But as soon as we've resigned at this point to just being okay with it. And that's the worst thing. Because it was 2012 when Sandy Hook happened. I was 12 years old.
Right.
I'm 22 now. It's been 10 years later. And I just saw, on the news, 19 kids are dead.
Right.
10 years. And in between that, I've seen Sandy Hook. I've seen the Vegas shooting. I've seen Parkland. I've seen the Christchurch shooting in New Zealand. It's peppered. I'm younger than you.
Yeah.
And I'm desensitized. I don't care. I'm upset. I'm angry. I'm mad. But at the same time, I'm like, nothing's going to change.
No.
By the time I have kids, whenever that is, and they're like, what happened, Dad? Why are you so sad? I'm going to be like, what's been happening for the past 25 years of my life?
Nothing's changed.
At that point. Nothing's changed.
And guess what it always goes back to, though?
I hope I get to leave this country at that point if that's how that goes.
Yeah,
or I'll be president and I'll fix or I'll be president and I'll fix the fucking
You heard it here first, folks. But like, what does it always go back to? Rock and roll music, rap music, violent
video games,
and video
games. Movies, yeah, violent movies, violent TV, violent anything. That has to be the issue. It's not, anything else.
So yeah, it's not the parents. It's not
the parents, not their own upbringings, not their, mental illness that people have noticed but refuse to do anything about in terms of getting them help. It's not the fact that, and this is probably the most political thing I'll probably say, is it's not the fact that the governor of Texas made it legal for an 18-year-old to go and buy a gun, which this kid did. He went and legally bought
throughout the country.
370
buy a rifle at 18.
Well, yes, but this was just in the past couple of years during like the El Paso, Odessa shootings, all these mass shootings that happened in Texas, and he made it easier to get firearms. You know, he went and he bought a rifle, and then went back and bought 375 rounds of ammunition, and then bought a handgun. Nobody thought differently of it.
I don't know how you bought a handgun. I thought you had to be 21 to get a handgun.
Not in Texas. You have a thing now where you don't even have to have a permit to conceal carry, I think. In Texas, you can just carry it.
That's for different. That's for us off the air to discuss, because that's fucked up.
That's for OBO for us.
That's for OBO. But we mainly with this episode, I know we got off. We really didn't get off topic. It's all in the same fucking vein.
It's half OBO, half WASD, as far as I'm concerned.
But like again with the video games, man, just it's a tired argument. Video games are not causing the issue here, and it's really disheartening to see the games that have helped me through tough times, my friends through tough times, you through tough times, be blamed, and for gamers themselves to be put in this weird light of who's the next maniac. It's probably a gamer, probably not. So whatever.
It's probably not a gamer.
No, I'm too lazy to get out of my fucking basement. But that's where we're gonna leave this episode.
As most gamers.
Exactly. We're gonna leave it there. I think that was a good stretch for us to do. Just get it out of our systems best we can. This episode is more therapeutic than anything, but I'm sure the people listening will agree. So again, I did give the trigger warning on Twitter. If you made it this far and you're pissed off, that's your fucking fault. You can check WASD and Beyond out, the Spawn Camp Network on Twitch and YouTube, or not Twitch, but Diggity's on Twitch and YouTube. They stream on Thursdays at 9 p.m. Build Bros 8 a.m. on Thursdays with a Off the Runner on Tuesdays at 8 a.m. WASD is every week on Wednesday and Friday at 7 a.m. Yeah, man, it's a pretty heavy episode.
Yeah.
You can check out our sponsors. I'm not sure they want us to drop their sponsor right now, but you sponsor the show. So Final Boss is releasing a new shirt bundle, or not bundles, but shirts today. Check that out. You got Parappa the Rappa. I said it right on this episode. And you
did get it right.
A new 9 Inch Nails shirt, which I'm excited for both. Doc Longy has released 2 shirts, which I'm not going to say on air for reasons. So go check out the Doc Longy page and see what shirts he has dropped. Again, guys, we are part of the Spawn Camp Network with Diggity, Build Bros, ourselves, and soon with the revival of OBO.
Yeah.
Stay positive out there in a world that really is trying to make us negative people. Stay positive. We love you. Stay safe. Stay healthy. Till next week, guys. Take it easy.
See ya. Peace.